Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Shevin Kekoalani with Phrase Change, and today we're talking to Chantelle Pianetta. How you doing today, Chantelle?
Hello, I'm doing great.
Awesome. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
I think so. It's Chantelle Pianetta.
Pianetta. Okay.
Yeah.
So the E has
Yeah.
kind of like an upward inflection on it.
I think
Gotcha.
Italian. Yeah.
Italian. Okay. Um, so Chantelle, you're going to be here in Austin very soon for Austin Shoutouts. We're very excited to have you out this way.
Yes.
What's your
Excited too.
dance background, and how did you get involved in West Coast Swing?
Well, my dance background is kind of varied. To give you the full picture, I started ballet when I was 5 years old. My mom is a ballet teacher, and she put me in class when I was young. And then I just kind of stuck with it. And then around age 10 or 11, I thought that I could pursue it possibly as a career, and then pursued it more steadily.
Hmm.
And then at age 14, I got accepted to the School of American Ballet in New York, which is like a ballet boarding school. So I was living in the San Francisco Bay Area at the time, and then at 14, I moved to New York City. So I spent all of my high school years over there in boarding school, so kind of doing the college thing 4 years early.
Okay.
And so I finished my ballet training at that school. And then at that time, I was a little bit burnt out, I think, from all the different pressure and like being away. And I wasn't quite sure like what I wanted to make that transition to being a professional or to go to school. And so I took about a year and a half off,
Hmm.
and then I actually enrolled in Columbia University,
Okay.
uh, kind of taking a step back. And they have a great program that um, allows you to be a more non-traditional student at the general studies program.
Hmm.
And then so I could also still like pursue some dance training while starting my education, college education there. And so they had the Columbia Ballet Collaborative, which was like an extracurricular activity I did while I was doing my studies. But then also while I was at Columbia, a friend recommended that I try Lindy Hop because I
Ah.
uh, was the ballet world sometimes isn't too friendly, and I wanted to like look outside the box. And
Mhm.
then Columbia had a great swing dance program, and so I went to a few social dances around New York City. Frim Fram Jam on Thursday nights was really popular. This was around in about 2008, around that time.
Yeah.
And so I started going to their weekly dances and joined the club, and then got really involved in Lindy Hop. And that actually helped me kind of heal personally and find my love for ballet again.
Mhm.
It showed me a way to dance um, without pressure, and it gave me a community. And then I found the joy in all dance again through that, which was pretty special.
That's
And so
awesome.
after about 2.5 years, Columbia was really ramping up, and I needed to decide if I wanted to pursue academics full time or try to jump back into dance. And I said, hey, I'm young. I think I'll try to jump back into dance.
Hmm.
And I did some auditioning around, and I actually got a job in a ballet company back in my hometown
Hmm.
in the Bay Area. So I moved all the way back to California, and then right before I left, like a couple months before, one of my Lindy Hopper friends was also a crossover dancer, and he also did West Coast swing. And he was at NYU, and before I left, he was like, "Hey, I think you should try West Coast swing. I think you'll like it." And so I started going with him right before I left, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the increased variety of music. It was a smoother dance, so I could put a little bit more of my ballet style in, or like mini spins instead of just one or two, and like Lindy Hop.
Yeah.
And I thought it was like this fun new dance that I could also apply. And then I was moving to California, which is like the mecca of West Coast swing. So I'm like, oh wow, like I can really continue to pursue this, like as I make my new job transition. So that's what I did. That was in 2010, the end of 2010. I
Hmm.
moved to the Bay Area, started my ballet company job. I found I guess it was the Loft at the time. Mostly Roots was still running that dance. And then I went to also to Two Left Feet. And like this is when like I think Kevin Kane and I started at the same time. We like
Hmm.
were there. We both had a Lindy background, so we like really connected. We're like, hey, trying to figure out this new dance. I tried that for about a year and a half. Started competing in novice, like after maybe like 6 months or so, and like realized like how difficult that is for follows starting out, and kind of got dissuaded because there are like hundreds of follows,
Hmm.
and it was kind of like a luck of the draw at that point, and I was always the one who kind of got the newer guy or maybe the weirder guy who just like had been dancing for like a week. I didn't know how to deal with that at that time, and
Hmm.
so I love social dancing, but the comp scene was a bit frustrating. So I went back to Lindy Hop. I stepped out of the West Coast swing scene, and then also started blues dancing. Fusion dancing was popular in San Francisco at the time.
Hmm.
Started doing that, completely left the swing scene, got a different group of friends. I was still doing ballet, and that lasted for about 2.5 years. I was gone. And then life happened, different boyfriends came in and out, and I had one really big breakup in 2014 where I thought I was going to move to Europe, and then I
Hmm.
didn't. And then my whole world kind of turned upside down, and and I thought to myself like, hey, like why don't I see what's going on in the West Coast swing scene
Hmm.
again? And so I remember going to South Bay Dance Fling in 2014. I had been away for like 2.5 years. And then I remember like seeing like a bunch of my old friends, and they were just so accepting and welcoming again, even after all that time. And I had a blast that contest. And I think I remember dancing. They have this Winchester Mystery,
Hmm.
Jack and Jill at South Bay. It's like special to that event. So they play all different types of dances, and you have to like kind of fumble your way through with your partner and guess which one they play. And
Yeah.
I think I got Rob I, and we had a total blast on the floor. And I think Robert Royson was there watching the whole thing. And then Rob and I ended up winning, and then Robert came up to me after, and he was like super encouraging. And he was like, "Hey, you're doing great. Like, I love like your variety of dancing. You should keep this up." Like, and I felt just this like great encouragement that I hadn't felt before. So from that point on, boom, I was like in the comp scene, determined to get out of novice. like, and like just went like head straight into West Coast swing as much as I could in conjunction with my ballet teaching and career. And from that, in about a few more months, I finally got out, and then I've been working up the ranks ever since, and then just got my first few champion points the last 2 months. So,
Nice. Very
uh,
cool.
so great.
Congratulations on the champion points.
Oh,
So you mentioned ballet, Lindy Hop, West Coast Swing, doing all of them, going absolutely hard in every single dance that you're doing. How do you keep from, like you said, for ballet, burning out? You go in, you do hours of practice, you have weekends of just nonstop dancing. How do you keep from getting to that burnout point?
For me personally, the key was like keeping a variety of disciplines going, not just focusing heavily in one area and in one goal on one goal. Just being able to focus on something for a while, and if that's I start to fatigue mentally or physically in that, be able to flip into another discipline with another skill set and have fresh eyes into that while this other one cools down, and then keeping that kind of circle of dances and mindsets really keeps me one engaged and interested, and two like healthy, that I'm not bogged down in any one thing.
Hmm.
It's like one that saying like, if you hold on to something too tightly, it slips away, like water or sand. So I've learned to, just kind of hold things gently when I have goals or plans, and that
Yeah.
usually turns out best.
So when it comes to holding all these disciplines and everything, how is it to keep them all categorized or cataloged differently, right? So West Coast swing and Lindy Hop especially being so similar, and then your ballet being the extreme difference between the three dances. How do you keep them all separate and still find yourself earning these champion points, doing this amazing job in West Coast swing?
Um, well, I feel like maybe dance acquisition is similar to language acquisition, or
Okay.
ballet would be like my primary language, like that, like English. It's like ingrained, like no one's gonna rock my core technique of ballet because I've been doing it for like 25 years at that point. Like I'm not going to forget how to do it or how to be a ballerina. With West Coast swing and Lindy Hop, it's a little bit they're newer languages to
Hmm.
me compared to that. And part of my what was fun about learning new social dances was trying to figure out what the essence or the feeling or the character of each one was.
Hmm.
Like for me, like Lindy Hop, it was that like internal like bounce, that internal like up
Yeah,
groove and
getting
like
that pulse going. Yeah.
and like working those kinds of rhythms. And like for West Coast, it really was like the boom
Hmm.
tick, the 1 2 of the in terms of the follow, like
Yeah.
always going like back to that. Those two big increments like kept my mind those two things, two dances in my mind separate and distinct. And then now it's fun to like as I get um, farther along in West Coast, I can bring some of the Lindy Hop influence and like blend or bring ballet. But it's like it was interesting really figuring out like okay, what's the difference? What makes this dance? So those kind of things characterized that for me. And then yeah, so just been playing with
So you
that.
highly recommend the cross training then?
Yes, cross training the more the better. And then I started training in hip hop
Hmm.
more recently. I think it helps with now the current music and the way we improvise in West Coast swing, the more the new school aspect, that groove, that street dance.
Yeah.
It really helps those body isolations and rhythms for me. In ballet, it's so up and tall and poised.
Hmm.
Like I need to like settle in my chest and get into the floor, and that helps my swing dance. So I've been doing that more, and also like contemporary dance too can help that. So just trying all the things.
Gotcha. So you coming down to Austin, you're essentially bringing the whole package, bringing everything with you.
Whole package, all different forms, mixing them together, and then yeah, and then Dylan and I love like integrating that with partnership, and especially using like different kinds of leverage and trust and musicality to create like variety in our dance.
Very cool. So I asked you beforehand if you had any fun stories for us from your past, anything that happened to you at a comp or at a social dance weekend.
Um, Well, the one thing that came to mind recently, it was kind of like a full circle moment for me competitively.
Okay.
So in my first All-Star comp ever, it was spotlighted, and that was in 2016 at Easter Swing, and
Hmm.
I I remember drawing Thomas Carter, and I had only done like a couple spotlights before. Like
Hmm.
it was a very new thing to me to be up there in that big stage, and it's like, okay, here you go. Here's your like minute or 2 minutes of dancing,
Yeah.
and they played "Move Across the River," which is like a normal spotlight blues song, but I
Yeah.
had
Great
no
song.
idea what the song was at that time because I like had moved up so quickly.
Hmm.
And like Lindy, we have a different set of
Right.
traditionally played songs, and so I was just like, oh no, I was thinking to myself like, I'll move across the river, I should be smooth and like go across, and I was like ignoring like all the hits, all the little ticks, and I knew that Thomas knew it, and he tried to like coerce me, and by the end like he got me to do some little hip bumps or things, but I like it was kind of a mess, and we did not play, and I'm like, oh no. So I like made a point of like trying to like learn the different blues and soul popular songs that we play from that point on. And then, so like a month ago or 2 months ago, for my first official like Champions Jack and Jill, I
Hmm.
got the same exact song across there. And I'm like, oh, wait, like two and a
But
half years later, like I
hmm,
got this.
you
And
know the
then
song now.
I know the song now, and it went much better.
Hmm.
And like we ended up getting Ryan Kutcher, and I got like second, and I felt good about it. But that taught me from that point, like learn your music, learn the
Hmm.
history, learn what's played, and because it will probably come up again. And so
Yes.
I'm glad I like learned my lesson from 2 years ago. That was quite funny. I'm like, oh, that's my song, my introduction song.
So you heard it from Chantelle herself, folks. Make sure that you guys are listening to all music all the time, not just the current modern stuff, but go back, learn your history too.
Yep, yep.
Um, Chantelle, if anybody wants to get in contact with you for private lessons or events, how do they do that?
Probably through Facebook and Facebook Messenger.
Hmm.
My name is pretty unique. I think there's only one of me, so you can find that on Facebook. Or if you want to email me, it's Chantelle P and the number 6 at gmail.com. And I'm pretty responsive and open. Really excited to be in Austin. It'll be
Fantastic.
my first time, I think. First time in
Um,
Austin.
we're gonna have to take you out for tacos and barbecue then.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Well, Chantelle, you have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.